What I love about the O antiphons that are commonly used at Vespers for the 7 days before Christmas in the Western Christian tradition is the deep sense of longing in them. Each verse holds forth a particular yearning for God to transform our hearts and our world. And the chorus sings forth an assurance that God will once again this year respond to that longing. No place is that more strongly felt or seen than in the translation of verse 7 in our United Church hymn book, and which is traditionally for the 6th night of the 7 nights, or December 22nd. While a more literal translation of the original Latin would be, O King of Nations, our hymn book offers us the compelling phrase, Desire of Nations. O come, desire of nations bind, all peoples in one heart and mind. O bid our sad division cease, and be for us a Prince of Peace. Whenever I hear the word sung, I can imagine Christians across the centuries singing it in many different languages and in many different places, all sharing in that common longing for peace. These words have been sung in war-ravaged towns and where famine struck. They have been sung in times of illness and even in the midst of previous pandemics. They have been sung by folks who are longing for the restoration of relationship with loved ones and families and neighbors. They have been sung in the face of poverty and oppression and injustice. They hold up the human yearning for peace in our world and ask God to help us to be part of the answer by binding all peoples in one heart and mind. Part of the power of the words that are spoken and sung like this on a regular basis is that they engage us differently each time we hear them, while at the same time carrying with them the resonance of every other time we have shared them before. As I've grown in my understanding of the enduring impacts of racism and white supremacy this year, the longing that a Prince of Peace will transform my heart and mind so that I may participate more fully in the work of racial justice has particular resonance this year. Similarly, prayers for peace for our neighbors to the south in the United States have echoed on my lips rather frequently this year. Your own prayers for peace in the world may emerge from different vantage points, but together we can still pray, O come, desire of nations bind, all peoples in one heart and mind. O bid our sad division cease, and be for us a Prince of Peace. This year, in the midst of what will be a very different Christmas for many of us because of restrictions and safety precautions required to prevent the spread of the coronavirus, I also find myself thinking about internal peace. I don't know about you, but I have found my stress and anxiety in the lead up to Christmas hard to cope with at times. There's just so much uncertainty and so much unfamiliarity and so much disappointment. Often I find myself frantically scrolling the news media on my iPad looking for answers that I really do know in truth no one can provide. Some days I find myself stuck in what I've taken to calling melancholy because giving it a name sometimes helps us to cope with things. It's a powerful mix of disappointment about things that are not the way I wish they could be, grief about all the losses that this year has brought, fear about what the future might hold, and exhaustion from all the extra work that is required to figure out how to do things differently and safely in the midst of our current context. As may be true for many of you as well, there are also particular concerns in my family and amongst my loved ones that contribute to that melancholy. Yet I know that the vast majority of the things that are weighing heaviest on my heart this year are things over which I have no control or only very minimal control. And yet, I worry. And so I also hear this verse this year as an invitation to turn back to God. I am doing my bit. I will continue to do my bit. But the rest I must leave in God's hands. And so I again pray this year, in company with all of you and with the faithful across time and space. O come, desire of nations bind, all peoples in one heart and mind. O bid our sad division cease, and be for us a Prince of Peace. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel.